it's Kendra from FBA Private Label Masterclass, and I wanted to show you today how to create parent-child variations. And in this section, I'm just going to walk you through the very start of this process, and then in the next section, I'll actually walk you through how to set up a inventory flat file that you can upload and create your parent-child variations, okay? So let's get started. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to first log into your Amazon Seller Central account, and you're going to go to Catalog, Add Products. And once you get to this page, you're going to want to go to the link that says Add a Variation using the Variation Wizard. And it's a little misleading what Amazon does here, but I think it's an important process because this is usually this is how I started my whole journey into creating variations. And so I like to show people how I got started so you can kind of understand the process. Because when you're first starting to create a new variation family by combining existing standalone listings within your catalog, which I'm assuming this is why you are interested in learning about this today, is because maybe you have several SKU that are you want to merge into one listing. So for example, maybe you have a t-shirt, a black t-shirt with multiple sizes, say small, large, or small, medium, and large, and extra large, and you want to combine all these into one listing to make it easier for shoppers to find just what your one black t-shirt with the multiple sizes, right? So this would be a perfect example of when you would want to create a variation family. So when you get to this variation wizard page, you're going to click on this button, and it's going to give you a drop-down box with a bunch of information and nothing else. And you're going to read the instructions. And the very first thing you want to do, and what Amazon instructs you to do, is to download the appropriate category template for your category using the product classifier or templates for specific categories. And it gives you then instructions on how to set up the inventory template. You are going to read all these instructions and make note of them. But in the next section, I'm going to show you actually where all these instructions are to be applied, because it's not here. So in the next section, I'm going to walk you through this entire process, and you will understand exactly how to get your template downloaded and generated so that you can get started with creating your inventory flat file to create your parent-child variations. Okay, so I'll see you in the next section. Bye-bye. Okay, so remember how Amazon was telling us what to do here, and they want us to download the appropriate category template. Well, of course, in Amazon logic, they don't tell us how to do something and then give us a means of doing it right here. That means we have to go back and do it somewhere else, right? And they don't tell us where to find it. So this is how you do that. So you need to go back to Catalog, Add Products, where we had started from, right? And now instead of going here, we're going to go to Download an Inventory File. And we're going to click on this link. And now down that we're here, we're going to search for our product. And so usually what this means is you're gonna search for the product that you're selling. So I'm going to type in my client's product here that I'm in their view here. I'm going to obviously blur everything out so that I'm protecting their privacy. And then I'm going to select the correct category. So for you, you're going to want to select the proper category that your product belongs in. And so give this proper thought as to where your product is at currently, where it's at, how it's attributed in the Amazon catalog system, and select the correct category for your product. Once you've done that, you're going to click on the orange generate template button. Now they're going to want to select a mode, and the light option contains only the required attributes associated. And this is just the minimum values necessary to create your product in the Amazon catalog, okay? But usually what I find is that the light version doesn't include what you need for to create a parent-child relationship properly. So I always use the advanced. That gives you usually all the different attribute groups. You won't be using most of those, but it will give you the ability to add the parentage, which is the most important um, column that you need to have when creating these parent-child relationships. So make sure you click advanced, and I'll walk you through the things that you can skip over and everything in the next section. So then you're just going to generate a template, and then it's going to pop up here with a box, and you're going to want to obviously select the where the location of where you want to save it. And I'm just going to save it to my desktop because that'll be easy to find. And then I'm going to save it. Okay, and it's going to be a XLSM file, which is basically a Microsoft Excel template file with macros. Okay, XLSM M has macros installed in it, and so you're going to download that onto your desktop. Okay, and that's the second step in this process. And then in the third step, we're going to actually get ready to add your parent-child variations. Okay, and that will be in the next step, and I'll show you how to do that. Be back soon. Okay, welcome back. So here we are inside an actual flat file, and this is where you're going to be actually creating your parent-child variations to upload into the Amazon system and create your parent-child variations. And so when you first open this up, and I'm using Google Sheets because I have a Mac and I don't have Microsoft Excel installed on my desktop Mac, it works very similarly. I think it works a little bit better when you have the actual native Excel program, because this is an Excel spreadsheet, but it works just fine. Okay, so in Google Sheets, so if you have Google Sheets, you can do this. It just be aware that it may not be as nuanced, and there are some different kind of tricks that you have to know in Google Sheets, but you shouldn't have any problems at all. But the very first thing you will see is the instructions tab, and I do recommend you read through this carefully. But usually, even with these instructions, you will learn mostly how to do this by trial and error. So it's really important that you just kind of walk through with me, and I'll try to be as methodical about it as possible. And hopefully you'll get it. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is read the instructions and how to enter your data and then validate your data afterwards. And I'm going to be going through that in great detail later on, so don't worry about that necessarily. But Amazon gives you all the different guidelines. So this is a great way of learning what the do's and don'ts are of Amazon listing creation. So note that, no watermark logos, product not within packaging, no multiple views. They give you all these different examples of what to do and not do with regard to your images. And then they give you even examples as to how they actually give you an example of how to list things based upon different with no parent. Okay, a child with no parent, sometimes called an orphan. So right now, all your I'm assuming that since you're wanting to learn how to create a parent-child variation listing, that right now all your SKUs right now are orphans, and this is how it's set up right now. And so if you were to scroll across, everything's color coded. Okay, so all the greens, everything mean different things. Okay, so as you go across here, you're going to see all the different attributes that you can possibly fill out. All right, now here in the data definitions tab is where they're going to tell you what the required fields are. So your required fields are your feed product type, okay, your item SKU, your brand name, external product ID type, item name, manufacturer, part number, item type, fit type, if applicable, okay. Uh, some of these are required. These say required because the category I have, this client's category requires these elements. Your category will have different required fields. Just make sure that if it has a red text that says required, that you fill it out and you follow the example of the format that Amazon's giving you. Okay. Now, with regard to images, now if you are creating a parent-child relationship based upon existing listings, that is, listings that you've already done, you do not need to do anything with regard to the images. You do not need to do anything with regard even to the your actual like bullet points or your description. The only thing you need to worry about, really, in terms of updating your listings, are your title and the parentage attribution, the attribution of the parentage. Okay. So as you can see, variation populate these attributes if your product is available in different variations. So you're going to have your parentage, parent, okay, parent SKU. That's the SKU that you created. Remember, you created a dummy SKU for your parent. Your your relationship type, whether or not it's a either it's going to be it's going to be variation. It's going to be the relationship type, and the variation theme. So if you have different sizes of your product, it's going to be size. If it's a different size and color, it's going to be size and color. And I'll show you there's different options you have there. Okay. And then for all your different basic elements, you need to tell Amazon whether or not you're doing an update, a partial update, or delete. You want to avoid delete because that'll delete your listing. What you want is you're going to want a partial update for your child, all your children variations, because what you want to do is you want to tell Amazon you just want to partially update your listing. And in this case, you're going to tell Amazon that you are partially updating it to be a child listing, and you're going to have everything else is going to remain the same. So that way it's going to not delete all the content off your listing. Everything in your listing will remain intact. The only thing that will change will be the parentage, the parent-child relationship, and everything will be binned into one listing. Okay. And so, and then everything else here in terms of your bullets, your intended use, and everything, you can just worry about filling all this out through your edit inventory manually. But you can also, please know that you can also change all these things through your flat file as well, and automatically update this. So it's a really great way of kind of batching out a lot of these listing changes and saving yourself a lot of time through the flat file, and doing it that way. So you can read through all these and understand all the different categories or attribute fields, and you can set things up that way in the future, and it can save you a lot of time. But for this example, we're just going to worry about the absolute minimum requirements for setting this up for the sake of time. So in the next tab is going to be your actual template, okay? And so for this seller, we have the parent listing, which is the very first row, okay? The very first row is your parent SKU, and you can make up the item SKU to whatever you want, okay? Just make sure that your SKU, your product type, is the same for everyone, okay? For everything. Okay, so this is how you fill out your parent. Your very first row will be your parent. You're going to want to make sure that you have the feed product type filled out, the item SKU, which will be your dummy parent SKU that you made up, the brand name, okay? You leave the external product ID blank. You leave the external product ID type blank, you want to fill out the item name of the product name, which is your product title. Think of the product name as your product title. Okay, for the listing, it's the listing title, and you can name this. Just name it. Basically, what I do for the parent title is I just truncate one of the main listings. I just truncate it, and so it's like the main. It's like a placeholder, but I like to make sure that it's as descriptive as possible. The manufacturer name, which is usually the same as the brand name. Leave the manufacturer part numbers blank. The item type keyword can be blank. The fitment type, if you have it for this category, it's an automotive product, so it can be blank. Okay. Pricing information can be blank. I fill out that all the item conditions needs to be new because they're new products. They're FBA. They're being sold as new. Now you can leave everything else blank here. Now pay attention to the variation columns, all right, and the basic columns. Here, you want to fill out some very important information. The very first row for the parent, you want to make sure this is parent. All others need to be child. So all your other listings need to be child. Remember what I was saying in the previous section about your first child is going to be your main listing. So this is the listing that will be displayed when people go to find your listing for this product. This is the very first item that will be displayed, okay? And then all other variations will be sitting under that listing. And now an important thing to note here is that over time, as shoppers come to your listing and maybe buy more of one variation or the other, this may cycle. So these children may bump this first child off its tier, off its block here, and these other children may end up being first. Amazon kind of takes a priority, gives priority over the children that have the highest sell through rate. Okay, so over time you're going to maybe see these other listings push the main listing off the top spot, but generally, if you know that this first top child here is the best selling of all the variations, it will stay there. And then make sure that all these here are filled out with the relationship type, which is child, or I'm sorry, with variation. And then for this variation theme, this seller has a size name variation, but it could be a size color. It could be just size only. It could be color only. It could be flavor if you're selling a food product. So it will give you it will load up in your list here all your possible options, and the macro is taking a long time to load up all the different options here, but whatever available options are for your category, it will load up there and you'll be able to select. Just make sure you're selecting the correct one and you should have no problems. Now for the update delete, you're going to do an update for the parent because you're creating a brand new listing with the parent, and then you're going to do a partial update for all the children, for all the variations. Okay, so make sure you select partial update for all the children. Now let me scroll over here and make sure that you understand that you can fill out all these other details, but you don't have to. If you already have listings created and you have all these attribute fields already filled out, you do not need to fill these fields in. Okay. Now, if you have different size names or color names or whatever, you will need to make sure you fill out in this kind of tan product enrichment section. You'll need to give these descriptors. So if you have a size name, for example, this is the size name for these products, but like for example 5 inches or 6 inches, then or extra large or large, you'll need to give them you'll give the size names here. There's also size mapping. You can fill that information out, and I recommend going to the example page to see what Amazon gives you as examples for these different attribute columns, so you're filling them out correctly, because there's a certain naming schematic for all these that will trigger a an error if you don't fill them out correctly. So be sure you look at the example for this product enrichment section so that you're doing it correctly. And then for dimensions and all of that, again, you can fill all this out manually through your actual the actual listings individually when you're ready to do that. And all this other information here, as you can see, I've left blank because it's not necessary. You can just fill those out individually. Of course, if you had hundreds of listings that you are trying to combine into one, then I would say maybe it would be worth your time to fill all this out all at once, and that would certainly save you a lot of time later on when you're making updates. But since there's only 4 products here, it's really, it's kind of a not necessary, and we're just combining these. We're just making a parent-child variation. There is no need to make any more modifications. So for the sake of time, there was no need to, really. So that is how you do it, everyone. Really super easy, actually, once you get a hang of it. Just make sure you're entering all your information correctly. Your SKUs, your product UPCs, and everything are correct for all your child variations. And then after you're done, you save your XLSM file, and then the next step is we upload this into the Amazon catalog system, and then check it for any errors. Okay. And then once we do that, we will be set to go, and I'll go over that in the next section. Okay, so I'll see you there. All right, welcome back. So now that we've created our inventory flat file, it's time to check it for any errors and make sure that we're all set to go before we make it official. So here we are in our favorite section, catalog, add products, and then here we're going to check and upload our inventory file. Here you click that link, and step 1, check your file. So just follow the steps that Amazon gives you. Okay, so step 1, check your file. For most sellers, if you're an FBA private label seller, it's going to be inventory files for non-media categories. But if you're doing this for books or music or videos, these are the selections available to you for file types. But in almost all cases, it's going to be this first one here. Okay. Then you're going to select your file. You're going to choose file. Now for this one, I'm just going to select the one that I had here for the exercise we did in the previous section for the spreadsheet that we worked on. And we're going to, you can even send yourself an alert. So if you are impatient and you want to just set it and forget it, you can be alerted by email when it's done. If you only have a few listings that you're creating, it doesn't take very long. It takes like 2 minutes, and I'm gonna prove that to you right here. So check my file. Okay, after you've uploaded the spreadsheet, it's gonna take you to this monitor upload status tab. Now, I had already done this in a previous run through, and I kind of messed up in my video, so I'm redoing this. So we're gonna do it over again, and it's gonna take just a minute to refresh here, and I just want you to experience this in real time. It's going to give you a little status box here saying that your file is being checked. It will not add products to your catalog, so nothing's being done, nothing's being formalized, but it's going to check for common listing errors and warnings, and then it will, small files will load in seconds, while others will take a few minutes. Just that's what they're telling you here. And so in just a little while here, it will refresh. The page will refresh automatically and will tell us if it's done. And as you can see, it just refreshed, and it has successfully processed 5 entries. Now remember, I believe 4 different variations in the parent SKU, so that makes sense. then what you're going to do is you're going to download your check file report, okay? And if you were to have any warnings or errors, these would show up here. It would tell you. And I would just want to show you what that would look like if you what the check file looks like. Okay, so here's an example. So this will detect any errors in your listing, and they will tell you how to fix it. Okay, so if there are any errors, it will tell you the number of errors in here. So it says the product name value is missing. I'm not sure why that's telling me that. Oh yeah. So there's not a product name here, so I need to fix that. Okay. So that's actually an important thing. And so there was an error and it lied to me. So oh yeah, so this was from that's why, because I was using this as an example as a previous one I fixed. And so yeah, you want to make sure, as I show you in a previous example, you want to make sure that all these are filled out. And so that's why that check file is there. So this check file is actually made, and there was a error that I had to fix. And so this one, when I upload this file, there were no, I fixed that error, so there were no errors shown, and that's why. So once you've done that, okay, once you fixed your listing based upon what your checked file summary is telling you, you want to resave your template, recheck it, okay, in this step here, and then hopefully you'll get 0 warnings, 0 errors, and 5 records successfully done. Okay, now once you've done that, and you get this, you get all records processed with zeros down here. Go back to your download and inventory. I'm sorry, check and upload your inventory file, and you want to go to step 2. Okay, step 2 is actually where you're going to upload your that same flat file. Okay, that same very flat, the flat file that we checked that didn't return any errors. Okay, so this is my final product, and do what they recommend. So make sure it's in Excel format, and then click the upload button. I'm not going to do that because I've already done it, and it's already been merged, and we have a parent-child relationship for this product already. And if here's a point of no return, and it's in red here, purge and replace your inventory. If you ever need to do anything that drastic, this will delete all your listings and replace them with the contents of the file that you're uploading. So be very careful with this section. Okay, there's a reason why this is collapsed, and it's in red. Okay, so be very careful with this section here. Usually you don't want to go here. You don't want to go this route unless you absolutely have to. So just be careful of this section down here. Okay. That's my only warning to you on that. So once you're done and you've uploaded your file, you're going to be sent back here, and it's going to tell you this: upload status done. Okay. And it's going to give you an option to download your submission in an updated template version. That way you have a copy of your template with the updated variation listing, and that's kind of cool. So you have that for your reference. Okay, now once that's done, you want to wait for about 15 minutes. I recommend 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the size, how many listings you have that you've merged together. Go back to your managed inventory, and you should, after about 15 minutes, you should see your variations. And this is how it's going to look. Everything's going to be collapsed under an arrow here. And this is your parent SKU, your parent product name. Okay, this is like your placeholder, remember. And then you're going to see all your different possible variations that you've created under that parent SKU. And these are all your children. Okay, so when you go to your listing, you'll have your main listing here, and then all your different possible variations under that one. Okay, and that's how you create a parent-child variation and a parent-child family for your products. Isn't that cool? I love parent-child relationships. Once I figured this out, I've just felt like uh, uh, this makes it a lot easier for shoppers to find your products. It makes it easier for you to market your products because you can just market one listing and just let everything let Amazon direct traffic and everything onto one place, and it just makes it a lot easier, I think. So I think it's a very powerful thing to have as a Amazon seller. So if you have products that are the same, basically the same product, but different sizes, colors, flavors, quantities, strongly consider creating a parent-child relationship for your products. Okay, and with that, I wish you luck, and uh, I hope that this was helpful. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Hey, it's Kendra again, and I just want to thank you for watching the video. And I hope that it gave you a lot of good value and knowledge in helping you with your Amazon business moving forward. And so I just want to thank you once again for watching. And if you liked the video, please go ahead and like it, comment on it. If you have any questions or feedback, I welcome it as always. And of course, if you hit that red subscribe button, that helps give me a little bit of boost of confidence in knowing that what videos I produce are helpful to the Amazon selling community, and that really helps me out tremendously. So go ahead and do that if you want. And I just want you to know that I do have some free training available at my classroom at FBAPrivatelabelMasterclass.com. There are some courses there, some trainings, workshops that I have produced that are free. And I also have a mentoring program as well. If you're interested in checking that out, it is at FBAPrivatelabelMasterclass.com. So thanks once again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video real soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.